Okay, time for another rambling. I'm just checking something. Okay, this is actually a little bit of a premiere, but not in a good way for you. But you'll see in a second what I mean. Because this is the first rambling that I've recorded in German first instead of English. And I always do all videos. And for the reviews, this still will be the thing. Record all videos in English first and then German. And the reason just why that is the case is because I just get more interaction, I get more feedback, I get more views, and I get more likes from the German ramblings, which just shows me that people appreciated them more. Simple reason. Why? Not that I'm butthurt or something like that, because it's still not far off. The English views alone are also good enough, but if I see just way more, and it is way more interaction from the German side, I just thought about it would be just fair, because the thing is, whenever I do the English rambling, I make the German one in recreation of the English one. So I try to cover the same topics and so on. And the problem is at 20-minute long videos, it was possible. But with now 30, 40 minutes long ramblings, this just isn't possible. And always me trying to think about what I said in the English one, and with my super brain memory not knowing what that was the case, I sometimes know I said something, but not in which take. Is it the English one? Is it the German one? When did I say it? And that's why it's just not the same anymore. And I think always the very first initial version is the proper one that I want to release. So yeah, in case you want to be the first ones again, you just have to make more interaction with me, more feedback and more views. Of course, one single person can't change so much about that, but you could share the videos, for example. But I'm just digressing a little bit, but that was just a thing. Okay, to getting back to one thing that was a big part, or the big thing that was hanging over the English version of the last rambling, was the kind of depressive mood. And what happened was absolutely expected. A few people, especially the German ones, told me that they absolutely liked this, me showing emotions, showing the behind the YouTuber person and some feelings and so on. But of course, what I also said in the rambling was that I expect a lot of people to just say, and I actually expected way more people to say, I know a lot about you, I get to know way more than I actually want to know about you, and that's a tech channel, I don't want to know this stuff. And it was just like 2 or 3 people, but way more people actually saying that they find it good that I have that I have a easy time actually expressing my feelings and so on. Of course, it was too dark, and I totally get that. I will try. It still will stay personal. This is just a thing of mine. I overshare, I know that, but I will try to keep it not that extreme, because especially the English take was quite a downer. I get that. I totally get that, but I don't know. Things will happen the way they happen, but. One thing that I want to do is give you a little bit of an update on what's coming in the next few days, weeks, I don't know. Okay, just to cover all the reviews. Verni Mouse Pro, that's the phone, not a good one, and I'm not even quite sure if I will even review it, if I will make the review, because I'm just not pumped about this device. Easy ACC or Easy AC Bluetooth speaker, actually quite a good one for the price. Review should be coming up soon. Meizu Pro 7 and Meizu Pro 7. One is the P25 version and one is the Media X30 version. I need a few more days, but I should be there soon. Honor 6A, not quite sure when yet. This could take a while, but I've told this to Honor because I have so much more important devices to review first. Zook 2 Pro. I was actually asked for this review quite often in the past, and I always said it's by now just too late. The device is already on the market for way over a year. But Banggood, which I actually in the first German take called Gangbut, asked me if I wanted to review something from them, and the only thing that I found to be interesting was this device, and it is interesting. If you find it for the right price, which I think was in my case like $220 euros, is absolutely worth it, but I need more time with that because I didn't use it as my review device yet. Meze, like I told you, I was at IFA and I've tried their headphones. I got both of them for about a week and a half already. I will review the Meze 99 Classics and the Neo 99. I'm not quite sure if the Classics are even called 99, but I think, at least I think so. And I will review both of them. Really, really nice. I need a few more impressions of them yet. Skull Candy Wireless Crusher. A few people asked for that review. I also got in contact with that brand. And yeah, interesting one. Xiaomi Mi Air 13. Need a few more days with that one, just because I need to check some gaming benchmarks, even though I don't care, also the fans, but I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed by the battery life. It seems quite weak, and that's why I think I won't really keep this one as my daily laptop or daily driver laptop. It will stay the 12-incher. The 12-incher had way better battery life, and this one has also some other smaller issues. Then what was next? On that tablet, I think this will be quite a disastrous review or a crushing review, because this tablet on paper looked really good. That should actually be a topic maybe for the next video, that so many devices look good on paper and are complete bull crap in reality. And the Onda that I have, the V10 Pro or something like that, is one of these. It's not a good tablet. The display is really nice, the speakers are even acceptable, but the performance is horrible. And actually mine has a part loose, a quite big one, and you can hear it rattling. Really, really weird. I also have the Jumper Easy Pad 3 Plus, I don't know, the 14-incher with the M3, but with a TN panel. And that's the issue with these Chinese devices. You always have a compromise, pretty much always. Xiaomi and Meizu are pretty much the only ones that I know of that don't have this usually, but TN panel kind of ruins the experience. And a NAS I will review for the first time. But now I want to get into one thing. That is the lighting, which you can actually already see. And I actually have the thought that the longer the lights are on, they settle at some point. Because what I've noticed when I will give you a demo of these lights in a few seconds, that when I turn them off and then on, I look overly bright. I look overexposed, and now it seems better. But let me actually start off with having complete darkness now. Don't panic, because I want to take a few minutes because about the lighting here, and I will also talk about the lights itself and what I'm planning it or what I did it for, because I think this is actually something really interesting, because I totally underestimated how much of a difference on the overall look lights can do. Okay, so for now, let's turn them off. Actually, one is still on. So, complete darkness. Okay, my monitor is on. Let's turn on the first pair here. And as you can see here, this is actually, for a video like this, in my opinion, a really nice mood, because if I'm a little bit more personal, or if I just talk a little bit more casual with you, I think that sets the kind of tone. It's not perfectly, because I think I'm a little bit darker here than there. I would have to, yeah, kind of fine-tune it, but this will come, because I'm still playing around with that, and that's why I didn't really make a review yet today. But what I did actually, I've tweeted also about that, because this was the darker picture, kind of the darker picture that I posted, and the other one was the brighter. But the thing is here following. I replaced all my normal soft boxes that I had with LED lights by now. I have four now, fifth one is still on the way. I missed it. But the issue is, or the advantage of these LED lights is they take up way less space. Yes, I use the same tripods as I did for the soft boxes, but the lights itself, because now I have a light that is like this big by this as the two main lights right now, but I don't have the whole umbrella or the whole softbox around it, and this is important because it makes me feel like I have way more room now. What I also have is, let's actually check the names what I got. The ones you are looking at right now, these are two at about 5 feet in terms of height, 170 centimeters, about that. They are like about on my height. Two Yongnuo YN600 Air. Why the 600 Air and not the regular 600s? Because the regular 600s have fans in it. And I know in the summer when it will get super hot, these would run all the time. So I wanted something completely silent. And they are not quite as bright though, but what they actually have, that's a benefit. They have a very bright or a very wide spread of the light in all directions. The YN600, the regular ones, don't have these, and I've noticed this with the YN300 and I have as well. But before I'm going into those, the YN600s, you can also change the color temperature, because I actually was a little bit disappointed at first that I actually forgot that I did not get 5500 Kelvin in terms of light, but I got the one that is changeable from 5500 to 3200 or 3200, so you can make the light warmer, and I thought that therefore I lose maximum output of light. But this is bright enough, because I think this actually would be good enough, if not for one thing. As you can see here now, I think this table is a little bit too dark. Of course I could make this up for with in terms of in terms of exposure and so on. But the issue is that I don't get enough light from this place. So from here, because of I'm lit up, but nothing in the back is. So this is where I'm missing light. So that's why I had to get more lights, and that's why the brightness is actually totally fine. And for a video like this, I actually think this would be better. Now, the next thing is though, and this is something that I did not know before, like maybe a year, when I watched a few videos about lighting, because you should need, or you should use 3 sorts of lights. You should use one light, your key light that lights at you, and then you have a fill light, so you are lit up. But what you should also use, and this is something that I did not know in the past, you should have a hair light, or there are different terms for that, that kind of makes your shoulders glow a little bit, also the back of your head, so you have a little bit of a better separation from the background. And this is what I have here with this one. As you can see here, my shoulders now are a little bit lit up, and also my back, also my baldy face is glowing. I can't really change that though, but I think it actually, as you can see, it makes a difference. I am a little bit more separated. Yes, it's maybe a little bit not enough, because this is just one old lamp that I have here. That's actually the only non-LED at the moment, but it gets the job done. The only solution for my bald head not to glow would be not have one, or just use a cap, but yeah, that's something else. Okay, what I will turn on now are the young new YN300 Mark III. And I think the only difference to the Mark II is actually just, I think, Bluetooth support, and maybe that I have here a remote, which is actually super handy. But I think that might be the biggest issue, the biggest difference. I'm not quite sure if I will ever use the Bluetooth app once I have set the light properly up. But let's turn it on again. So like I said, this is what I meant. I had them off for a while, and I think they glow brighter now. So because they heat up, maybe they actually get a little bit lower in terms of brightness, because I look overexposed now. I totally get that, and I also look a little bit too yellow. But I think once these lights settle for a few minutes, it should get back to normal. And I will actually leave this for a while like this, and later on turn it off again, so just you can see the difference, because I personally think actually the darker tone sets a better mood for these kinds of videos. But let me know what you think, because especially if you are a YouTuber, okay, I gotta say one thing, it wasn't quite cheap, because the lights that I had before were like, I think 50, 60 bucks with the tripods, with an AC adapter, with the lights and everything, for 2. Now though, for example, the YN600 costed, I think, like 61 without an AC adapter, which costs about 20 extra, and I use the same tripod that I use pretty much the tripod from the old lights. So this is a setup that is like, I think, factor of 3 or 4 higher, because let's just see. The other light, if it would be 60 for 2, let's say 30 for 1. This is 60 plus 20 plus the tripod, so about 3 times more. It's a lot more expensive. So what I paid for the 5 lights that I bought right now, the 5th one, like I said, I missed, is, yeah, you can do the math. Each 60, about 100 for all the 5 AC adapters, and the YN Mark III, the 300s are, how much are they? And yes, I know it's a super interesting topic for a lot of people. I think they were also like, they are also 60 bucks. There was the Mark II, noticeably cheaper, I think like 40 bucks, but I thought, yeah, let's just go all in. And all of them are color changeable in terms of color temperature. But as you can see now, it settled already a bit, and I don't look overly exposed. Yes, I look a little bit, maybe not but a little bit imperfect in terms of light, but I think it definitely works well. And even now, you can notice the backlight, the shoulder light, the hair light. So I think it was worth it, because I have a little bit more space. Though the issue was, I actually bought these because I wanted more light in the studio down there to yeah, my nose is itching once again. Because I wanted more light down there in the studio for my hi-fi reviews. But now seeing them here where I can try them, I noticed that I prefer them. It gives me way more flexibility, because as you can see, actually now here everything is bright enough. As you can see here now, things are lit up. Of course, you have some light now from here, because there is one like here that lights up from the side, and I can now show the device. Here it's a little bit too bright, but now I have enough brightness, because let's just turn off the other ones quickly again. As you can see here, this felt just dull. Now this looks nicer. Of course, like I said, I need a little bit more of tweaking, but this allows me now to be here, bright enough. And in comparison, this actually looks too bright, but I rather like to have the device really nicely lit up, especially, for example, right now. As you can see here, it looks nicer because just this lighting, and like I said, I will turn it off now. This, in my opinion, would be good enough just for videos like these and for ramblings. I would just use something like this. Whenever I don't need the secondary cam, I think this actually feels like a nicer mood. Okay, getting back to the proper topics actually now. What are your priorities overall? And just so to know, to explain what it is all about, since the last rambling there was 2 weeks in between, because the last depressive one I need a little bit more time to make people forget that, because like I said, my highs and lows are way bigger. Of course the highs, because I have like 1-2 load times, and when I record a video I did that, like I did with the rambling, it was very depressive, so I wanted to kind of make people forget about that and let a little bit grass grow over that. But back then I made those notes, so sometimes I'm not quite sure what I even wanted to say with that. But the one thing is, what are your priorities overall? And what I said in the German review, let's just assume both things. And this chair will kill my ass and my knees. Yeah, let me actually know which light you prefer, this darker tone for these videos or the brighter one. Give me your 2 priorities. One for tech. What are your 3 most important tech devices? For example, someone said if it would be one phone, because you can do all on your phone. You can watch videos, you can call, you can browse the web, you can do all of them. So give me your priorities. What are your most 3 important? For me, for example, I said tablets. Definitely my iPad is still the one thing that I use most things, but also, of course, besides the phone, something like the PC I need for YouTube, but besides that, I still use it for not actually that much. I could browse on everything I want, but I also use that for my audio and so on. But other than that, it would be something that delivers me music, I would say. But besides that, if you want to answer this, what are your priorities in real life besides tech? So is it meeting up with people? Is it your sports? Is it your hobbies or something like that? Because for me, it actually is intertwined. My hobby, YouTube, is also tech. Okay. Enticing intros, important or not? This is one thing that I would really like some feedback from you, because I already from the start did intros, kind of explaining, getting into the video what I'm going to talk about, give a little bit of a spin, and this spin about every little intro just happens naturally, because every device that I use, I notice something special about it or something unique, something that I put a spin on it. Like, for example, sometimes it's the value, sometimes it's the cameras, the performance, or the in and feel, or whatever the meaning is of this device, or what's the purpose and so on. And I try to cram this in the intro, because intros are important to get the attention of the viewer. But the thing for me is, my intros, I think, generally are too long, because people always say try to keep the intro to a maximum of about 7 seconds, because in those first 5 to 7 seconds most people already judge if they continue watching a video. And mine are usually like at least 20 to up to 40 and even more seconds long, because I can't keep myself short, and I try to give you a little bit of a summary, a quick one of what's going on and what will happen, but I just can't do this in 7 seconds, not for a tech video. But let me actually know if that is important for you, because the way I see it, there are the regulars that watch the video anyways, so they don't care. But what this intro is actually more important for, not the people like you, but the people that usually don't watch so much tech stuff, but usually just check a video once and again, and you need to grab those or those people's attention, and they need to kind of know what's going on. But let me know if you still, even if you, because I guess most of you already know whenever I review a device, or what's it about, what's the device for, and so on. But not everyone. But do you still think this helpful? Does this spin on a review actually give you something, or do you think I just want to know things? Because most people actually, I think, just skip the intro anyways, or just jump to the pros and cons, which are now the summary, which is something that I still have to get kind of used to, or the conclusion. I don't know. Let me know. Obviously. Am I depressed? After all, I'm a weird, I'm a loner. I know that. That was my note, because I just had to set it down, because what I said in one review, and I'm not quite sure if it was a German or an English comment, I think it was a German one, but when I said that I usually always see the bad stuff in things, or rather check the bad things, and if something then positive comes up, I take the good one for granted. And no, that sounded wrong. Good one for granted. I appreciate the good stuff happening, and he said that is an actual one of the points, or one of the things that shows it's a sign of depression. And I told him that it might be because I am a loner. I know that I'm someone who's I grown up a little bit weirdly. I had a little bit of a rough childhood, and it definitely had an impact on me. That's why I am like that. I never had a lot of friends. I'm a loner and all these kind of things. So it could be very well that I am depressed, even though it's hard to tell, because like I said, the depressed parts, or the parts where I'm not all that happy, and I can't really call it depressed, it's when I'm just a little bit upset or disappointed or something like that, are usually like 2 days, and then I have like 25 good days or something like that. It's not really something, maybe even some months and sometimes, but it happens. And I think everyone once in a while, especially if you are on YouTube, if you are exposed to so much hatred, but also good things, just has good days but also bad days. And sometimes you take a comment a little bit more hard and not that lighthearted than some other days, and it sometimes pecks you, because it's usually in comments after all, because as much as people say, let's actually turn on the light again just so you have the difference. And like I said, now it will turn off a little bit darker, a little bit, but so many people always say you have to ignore the comments and all these kind of things, but you can't always ignore them, first of all, that, and there's always a little bit of a sting, and sometimes, especially if it's true, it kinda is a burn, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes you have to get over it, and this is what I just want. So I can't say if I am just because that, yes, because like I said, like I am a loner. I'm not really a social guy. I hate groups of people. I hate new people, get to know them and so on. I just like to stick with the people that I know, and as few as possible, because not that I don't like people, but I just don't like interaction so much. That's just the way of my childhood, the way I grew up and so on. So it could be depression, it could be just YouTube, because YouTube is hardcore. YouTube is not easy. Okay, 2017, a year full of many silly trends, 18:9, HDR, fingerprint, I'm not quite sure what I meant with fingerprint at all, and dual cam. So let's get to the first silly trend in my opinion, which is dual cam. I reviewed a bunch of phones this year, and I think most of them had a dual cam, and in most situations it was a crappy one just to be there, and I don't see the point of it, because especially on the cheap Chinese phones, the second cam does not bring anything to the table. The bokeh effect isn't better, there is no proper zoom effect, there is no wide angle camera, the cam is just there, and it doesn't improve the main cam, it doesn't improve anything, it doesn't add anything, so why even bother? And I'm not even saying why even bother, why even do this, because a second lens after all costs money. So rather spend that money in that sensor for a proper main camera, which usually isn't great anyways. So this, I think, is a silly trend. We are seeing this, and the big brands, they do it right. Like, for example, Huawei does it right. Samsung, the way you want to see it, does it right as well, because I'm not a fan of zoom lenses. If make it like Huawei with a monochrome, so we get a nice bokeh effect and we get a great main cam for contrast and so on, or give me what LG does, the wide angle cam. But the zoom camera, I find these are a silly trend. We don't need those. Just go closer. But yeah, but if at least you do it at least in a good quality, but not like those Chinese phones. So that's just for the sake of being there. And yeah, I hope. I would rather like to be, but now it's the thing. You can't really sell a phone these days anymore if it doesn't have a dual cam, because I see so many reviewers, they say, even if it would be an absolutely amazing cam, they would say, it doesn't have a dual cam. But for example, the Meizu here, the Pro 7. And yes, I really did just 412 steps. No, not really. I didn't really have it on me on the day here. But this is a great camera here on this one. And I'm not quite sure, because the dual effect or the dual lens effect is not necessary, because that one actually works quite bad. So I think they could have pulled off this great camera experience with just one lens as well. Now the second thing, like I said, fingerprint reader, I can't remember what it was all about. Let's cover the other thing more. HDR. I said it already a few times in, I think, the last rambling. I don't quite think HDR is what we need yet, and it's not that impressive. Because the way I see it, HDR is actually, at the moment, more of a placebo effect. Because to me, it seems on all the demos that I've seen it on, like they actually reduce the quality of the SDR content. Because when I see SDR videos on those demos where we have side-by-side HDR and SDR, to me, and it can't be just in my head, I don't think SDR would look that bad. Because I've seen a Samsung demo where the SDR picture looked so dull, so flat, almost no colors, no dynamic. And then side-by-side, of course, HDR looked way more impressive, even though I have to say, and this is something that the tech chap did cover really well on his videos. In games you see this quite often, but also in general, if it's not mixed properly, the dark passages are way too dark and you lose a lot of details in the dark sides and also in the brighter sides, because these displays can get brighter, but it shouldn't blow out everything. And that's the thing. And I simply think that in these demos, they kind of make the SDR look worse. And I've seen this also on the Yamaha demo of their projector and so on. Let me know what you think, because, for example, Joe Hindi from Android Authority, he said on I think, I don't know what TV it was, on I think Final Fantasy, the last one, it really made a huge difference. And it can be if it's done right, but I think it's not there yet. If it is necessary though, because if I look at my screen now, if colors are properly set, if I calibrate my screen properly, and if I have great content, it looks already great. And it doesn't look as bad, I think. Oh man, no. It doesn't look as bad as on those SDR demos. And the last thing, of course, 18:9. I've covered this actually quite long in the German part, but the thing is here, I think still it's a little bit of a trickery and a little bit of a marketing hash to make these 18:9 aspect ratios, because the way I see it, it makes you perceive the device is bigger, and everyone wants a big screen but not a big device. Or at least as small as possible device with as big as possible screen. And of course with 18:9 this works so much better, because they can tell you 5.8 inch, 6 inch screen, and the device is maybe like a 5.5 inch screen in terms of width. But the thing is also, what I've noticed, that a lot of these, besides Samsung, these devices actually have big side bezels. The V30 in my opinion has very big, for what it is, big bezels. The Xiaomi Mi Mix 2, which I actually missed, and that's why you don't... This is why you see this video and not the Mi Mix hands-on, because I hoped I would get it today, but it won't. So Monday I'm at work, so best way I can maybe pick it up on Tuesday. But also that one has very big side bezels, and I'm just not a big fan of that, because now they still are able to make a device that is quite narrow, but they now again make bezels bigger, because we have already seen quite small bezels from LG. The G4, the G3, yes, and even more so the G2 had small bezels for their time, but the V30 has big bezels. And let's be honest, the iPhone 10, huge side bezels. Yes, you can tell me there is almost no bezel at the bottom, at the top, but the device, huge side bezels. And I want a narrow phone. And yes, with 18:9 it is narrower, but I don't have the benefit of the 18:9, and I've said this already, because let's just see it like this. You use a phone like this most of the time and not like this, because the human eyes sees way more horizontally than vertically, which is why TVs are wider than they are long. But we don't use phones like this. We use phones like this, and then it's pretty much just normal that, at least for me, I've noticed this, and I just watch at this part of the screen. So if this part is even bigger and down there below, I don't really have much of it, because I usually just scroll. I don't watch a page and then look at the top, look at the bottom, look at the top, look at the bottom all the time while scrolling. I stay usually fixed with my eyes and then just scroll the content, which is of course not a thing if you watch a movie. If you watch a movie, you are fixed at that position and you look around, of course, because you can't scroll a movie. And the movies are though another thing, because with 18:9 you have, since most content is still 16:9, you have pillow bars. Or if it is a movie, which in my opinion does make no sense on a phone, with 21:9 or whatever it would be, has no, or let's see, less bezel, or pillow bars, or letter bars. I personally can't. I can't think of watching a video or a movie on a phone. I can do this with YouTube. I pretty much just watch YouTube videos, because the moment I watch even a TV show, I do this on a tablet or on a laptop or on a TV or on a monitor or anything, but not on this thing. I know a lot of people, especially if you travel around, if you have a long commute in the train or something like that, it is great to have it on your phone. But I still don't think, and let me actually know what you think. I'm not against 18:9, and someone has to start if it will be the new standard, and I think we will see more in 2018, not the cheaper phones, but it will become a more widespread thing. But I simply don't think it's necessary, because I would like to have an as wide as possible device, but as narrow as possible, like I said already, and that's why less sidebursts, because this phone has nice sidebursts. This is absolutely nice, and other phones do this as well. But just changing the aspect ratio, faking it to be a big screen, it's not, because a 6-inch display is a 5.5-inch screen at best, around that. Yep. Oh, I'm bad in terms of timing. Okay, next topic. Dolby Atmos on phones and laptops, in my opinion. What did I say? Yeah, it's nothing more than an EQ, because there was a Twitter follower that told me one thing. He said that he recently got to use a laptop with Dolby Atmos and he found the quality be so much better, and he wants to install Dolby Atmos on his PC if that's possible. And I told him it is nothing more than an equalizer. You don't need it. It just doesn't help the quality. He told, yeah, there is a big difference. I've noticed it, because comparing it with... I told him the following. I've used already so many phones with Dolby Atmos. I used already so many laptops with Dolby Atmos. The way I can explain it is, it's a little bit of a scam, because if you would turn off Dolby Atmos on those devices, yes, they sound poor, they sound crap, but similar devices without Dolby Atmos, without that feature enabled, already sound good. So what I think is, and there are maybe two possibilities here, what I've actually discovered in the German version. It's either the following. If a brand now uses Dolby Atmos and they say, you take care of all the sound and we don't do anything, that would explain maybe why the sound is so bad without it turned off, because the brand, let's say brand A, just doesn't put in any work anymore in the sound, and that's why without Dolby Atmos it sounds totally terrible, because they don't put their optimization on it and they leave everything to Dolby Atmos. That's why the big difference is so big, and that's why they say, we'll pay them a little bit, they get a little bit of exposure, and they get something out of it, we get something out of it, so win-win. But if Dolby Atmos would do nothing on this phone or on this laptop, and the brand itself would do it, you would get pretty much the same quality, because I've had very similar devices, one that hadn't or did not have Dolby Atmos and one that did, and I've had already a few devices already that did not have Atmos and sounded better than one with Atmos, because for me it is still nothing more than an equalizer. Yes, you have presets and all that, but for example, on a phone, I would say it's better to have something like Samsung, for example, with a system-wide EQ. Because with that, and let's just turn it off again, because with that, it is too bright a little bit, and it doesn't really change. Because with that system-wide equalizer, you can change it everything, and you already have a good sound as well. So I think it's either the brand's being lazy or it's some kind of deal, because I don't think the phone would, without Dolby Atmos, sound as bad as it does with Dolby Atmos being turned off. And I'm not quite sure who really benefits of it, because I'm not quite sure if Dolby gets paid to be on the phone or if they maybe actually pay to be on their phone. If they get paid, and therefore, because they kind of have to, because both sides have to have something from that. Because, for example, brand A would have something of it if they say we pay you something, but it's less than we would if it's our own resources, and you get to be on our app, you get the exposure and you get money for it. But I don't think that actually Dolby says, hey, let's pay you to be here so you can see it, because how would they make money otherwise? So I think the brand just says, we don't invest any money in our resources, they can do it and we therefore pay them, and it's cheaper for us, or it's maybe better quality or so, which it really isn't if they do it properly. So that's just my take on that. Last topic. And now I can actually delete them. Storm of reviews is coming. As you have maybe already noticed, I have not, since the last more depressive review, done many reviews. I just did the bare minimum that I had to kind of do, and the reason is not because of the depression and so on, or if it was one, but, or let's say the down phase. But it's just the thing that most devices, I am still in review period, and also the last 2 weeks at work were quite stressful. So I was very tired once I came home, and I just didn't have enough, power. I didn't have enough juice in me to make a review. Sometimes I still did, I get over myself, but I did, though, actually most of the time I reviewed still stuff. So I made the test, so I tested phones, laptops, headphones, and so on. So I did invest the time. It's not like I didn't do anything, but I was just too exhausted to make the review. It should be better again this week, because last week was a very stressful one because there was extra things going on at work. So if that's gone, I should get a little bit back to my old groove. Also, the lighting took a little bit off of that as well, a little bit of some timing and so on. So a lot of things are coming. XZ1 Compact, Mi Mix, Mi Note, biodynamic headphones, Yamaha stuff, and yeah, a lot. And I actually have already way much more on my shoulders than I could actually handle. So if I would be a bigger outlet, I would actually be able to get so much more devices, and I could actually already have people doing reviews as well on the channel, but that's not an option because I'm a one-man show. It will stay like that, and I just don't make any money to be able to pay someone. If there would be someone that would be willing to do it for the same reason as I do, just for sharing it, for sharing's sake, and not because of the money, and he makes reviews the way that I could be good with it, I would have him on the channel as well. And then I could give him some of my review notes, but that's totally off the table. And that's something that I did not actually discuss at all on the German one, because the problem is always, especially with having to be more selective on reviews, sometimes I just don't really know what's good. I can't always be 100% right, because some devices I know that are good. I already know the XZ1 Compact. I know it's great. The Mi Mix, I know it will be very good. The Mi Note and so on. But sometimes I just try a phone and then it turns out, or a tablet, and it turns out to be crap. But you need these reviews as well. People always say me that, or tell me that you also need to make reviews of the bad stuff so people know what not to buy. True, but usually crappy devices don't really get much views and people don't really care anyways, because, yeah, but sometimes, and that's something that I'm really hoping for, you will find this hidden gem in all those devices. I did not really find that yet. One, maybe if I would have to call it, of all these cheaper Chinese phones that was surprisingly good, was the Maze Alpha. It wasn't perfect, but for the price it was great, and this was one where I did not expect it to be that good. The Honda V10 Pro that I have at the moment, a 1440p 10-inch tablet, that looked great on paper, and that's maybe actually a topic for next week, that some devices look good on paper but turn out to be real crap in reality. That's the Honda, because on paper, good SoC, screen is good, the speaker is okay, but the performance is crap. I don't know really about the battery life yet, and I'm not quite even sure if I will go through all the lengths. I think I will make just a little bit of a quick review telling you should stay away from it, because besides the really good screen, and you could get good sound with a Bluetooth speaker, the performance is horrible. If the battery life is good, maybe, and it's not all that expensive, it could still be worth it, but I don't think, because the experience was really terrible. And I'm not quite sure what I should else say, because that's actually weird. On the German take as well, I did not really know what else I should talk about in the last few minutes. Not that I have an ending, but I felt like I have something on me that I would like to say, but I didn't really know what anymore, because my memory is just so bad, and I always, before the takes, usually have so much on my mind and then just can't remember. And I'm not quite sure if I think back about like an hour ago when I did the German one, if I talked about anything I did not do here. I don't think so. I think I covered it actually quite close, maybe different in terms of weighting, where I put more effort on there, or I mean time on one or the other topic, but I covered the topics, and the last few minutes were also quite a weird rambling, but it's just something, and yes, I can get higher. But yeah, I think yeah, I kind of ran out of topics, but I will gonna do the next thing, yeah, as I did on the German one, because last video I said Everglide, so this was kind of the keyword to know which people watched the video until a quite late point in the video. Now I will take, what did I take? yeah, okay, I can't say that because it's a German word. So let's just say strafe, Strafe. So if you say strafe, I know you've watched it then until this point, because yeah, that's pretty much already it. I've covered a lot of things. Like I said, if I would think a little bit, and yes, I look a lot of to the side. It's because if you didn't know, people always look to the side, to the right side. It looks like I look to the left now, but it's my right. When they think of something, if they want to recall a memory, if they watch to the left, then it's actually to think of a lie, in case you didn't know that. And I think I pretty much never look at that side. And people always actually ask me quite often why I look almost that. That's just something when I pick up something in my brain I want to remember again. And yeah. Yeah, what do I look forward to? Mi Mix, definitely still. Mi Note as well. Other than that, yeah, one thing that I did not even mention, I totally forgot that. That's something I talked about in the German one. I am invited to the Google event in Berlin on the 4th of October. And 2 days ago I told them that I will go, or I filled out the message. I didn't get a feedback yet, but I think it will happen on maybe Monday, Tuesday, because what I actually wanted to know, that would be my highlight if if I could keep one for myself, then I would, if I could choose, get the XL, because I'm not so much interested in the HTC one. If it turns out to be the smaller one with big bezels, I want the proper flagship. So, but I don't think this will happen, because I asked the press agency that I work with since the 5X already together. But what did I review? I reviewed the 5X, I reviewed the 6P, the Pixel C, and the XL. And I asked if I could take one with me. And I didn't even say that I want to keep it just as a review unit, because that would make it easier for me. Because you know that I'm not a fan of review hands-on videos, because it's like an advertisement. I want to make a first impressions video, a proper one, and therefore I just need to use the phone. And they told me that they don't know yet how many, how many devices they will have, and if they can give some away. But what I also know is, because I talked to another YouTuber that will attend, he will get one and he will get to keep it. And even if he wouldn't attend the event, he would get sent one and could keep it. Because that's the main thing why I'm going. First of all, to get to know the press agency, because I've never met them in person. I want to get a little bit into contact with them, which could maybe help me out in the future to get maybe devices a little bit earlier. And maybe also with looking forward to get one and maybe keep it. Maybe I will just steal one. But I think the reason is just he can keep it because he's from a way bigger outlet and I am not. But I would like to be one of that as well. So I mean, yeah. But yeah, because they gotta know if they can give me one or not. So I think I won't get one. That's the neutral way to just say me that or tell me that. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure a lot of them will get them. Maybe even already beforehand. Yeah. And what I'm going to do now is tell you a second word. And if you tell me that, then I know that you are super hardcore and watched until the very, very end. And that one is Lumix. Lumix. I said this too early. Because on the German one I said bye, waited a little bit, rambled a little bit on for a few minutes further, and then said Lumix. But I'm not gonna say a third word. But I'm still gonna ramble on for a few seconds just to think if I should still say something. No, but otherwise, like I said, I enjoyed rambling once again for 1.5 hours in total now, even though it's twice or the same thing twice. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and yeah, let me know in case you enjoyed it. And maybe if you get more interaction with me and more views and so on, you will be the first ones again. But until that, the German ones will be the priority for the ramblings. Whoever gets more views gets that. Okay, until next time, bye.